April walks in with a pen in hand, whispers truth only the soul understands. She don't shout, she hums in verse, turning pain to beauty and blessings from curse. She's the rhyme and rhythm in your grandmother's prayer, the song in a child's stare. She's freedom wrapped in rhyme, our heartbeat dancing through time. So as the flowers bloom, let your words too unfold your truth. Let your spirit break through. Because this month, it ain't just spring. It's poetry and jazz doing its sacred thing. Welcome to the BlackGold-TexasTee show, where rhythm meets reason and stories carry soul. It's April, y'all, and that means we're celebrating the heartbeat of culture, jazz, and the heartbeat of language, poetry. Two art forms born from feeling, struggle, joy, and the thing we call soul. Today, we're tuning in to our hearts and our soul, and we're turning up the volume on legacy, creativity, and the ways our people have always turned pain into beauty and silence into sound. So whether you're snapping fingers to Coltrane or scribbling thoughts to Nikki Giovanni, you're in the right place. This month, we're blending melody and metaphor. We're vibing with Billie Holiday and vibing with Langston Hughes. This is April, and April is jazz and poetry. You see, our ancestors didn't just write poetry, they lived it. In every note and every verse, they turned struggle into beauty. From Langston's Rivers to Coltrane's Love Supreme, this month is about honoring voices that made the page, the stage, and the music sacred. Before there were microphones, we had a porch talk. Before there were stages, we had rhythm in the body, soul in the voice, and stories in the air. Poetry has always been the language of emotion, resistance, faith, and love. Long before publishing deals, poetry lived in oral traditions, from African griots to spoken word ciphers. The Harlem Renaissance made poetry a revolution. Langston Hughes, Zora Neale Hurston, and Claude McKay were speaking Black truth to power in ways that still echo today. Poetry helped preserve our history, call out injustice, and celebrate Black joy. Poetry doesn't just rhyme, it reveals. It reaches down into the soul and pulls out what you didn't even know was there. Jazz was born from blues, spirituals, and heartbeat of African American creativity. It came out of the South, rose in New Orleans, and then spread like wildfire. Improvisation is jazz's soul. It's about freedom. Every note is a conversation, an emotion, a choice. Legends like Miles Davis, Thelonious Monk, and Sarah Vaughan didn't just play music, they told stories with breath and boldness. Jazz gave birth to R&B, hip hop, and even influenced the way we speak, dress, and move. Jazz is the sound of survival and celebration, of making beauty out of brokenness. It says, I'm still here, and I've got something to say. Jazz and poetry often shared the same stages, especially in the Beat era and Black arts movement. Gil Scott-Heron and Ntozake Shange fused both art forms, delivering powerful verse over musical backdrops. And today's spoken word, those poets and lyricists like J. Ivy, Ursula Rucker, or even Kendrick Lamar for that matter, they keep that tradition alive. When poetry speaks and jazz plays, they become one thing, a witness of our beauty, our pain, and our power. The connection between jazz and poetry started naturally. They both thrive on rhythm, tone, and emotion. But when they hit the stage together, baby, that's magic. Jazz is poetry in sound. Every sax solo, every bass line is an unscripted poem, a freestyle, a feeling. Poetry is jazz with language. Poets use meter, flow, pauses, like jazz drummers use space and silence. The stage became a place where music and meaning met, and the crowd leaned in to feel both. If we think historically, in the 1920s and 30s, Harlem cafes, rent parties, and theaters were both hotbeds for Black brilliance. Langston Hughes read his poem to jazz in Harlem clubs, setting a trend for the spoken word long before it had a name. The Cotton Club, the Apollo Theater, and the Savoy Ballroom became sacred stages where verse and voice mingled with horns and hi-hats. I've known rivers, Houston said, and somewhere in the back, a sax wailed a reply. If we fast forward to the 1950s and 60s, the best poets were snapping fingers in smoky jazz clubs while reciting free verse with jazz bands behind them. Meanwhile, Amira Baraka, Sonia Sanchez, and Nikki Giovanni were burning truth into the mic, fusing jazz with Afro-political consciousness. It wasn't just poetry. It was protest with rhythm, resistance with a riff. Gil Scott-Heron himself was called a bluesologist, and he was the bridge between jazz, poetry, and hip hop. His classic, "The Revolution Will Not Be Televised," was poetry over music, raw, rhythmic, and prophetic. You will not be able to stay home, brother. That's a line that still echoes today. And today, the intersection is alive and thriving. Slam poets use pacing and rhythm like jazz solos, building, breaking, and improvising. We have artists today like Jill Scott, Lauryn Hill, and Jay Ivy, who use the spoken word over music all the time, reviving that same marriage of message and melody. And jazz cafes, poetry lounges, and even tiny theaters keep this culture alive. Places where folks say, I came to feel something. You feel that? That's not just jazz. That's not even just poetry. That's spirit. That's history humming in the background while we walk forward. We've danced through verses, snapped fingers to turn and truth, and let the saxophone speak the words we couldn't. And just like a jazz solo, life won't always follow the chart. But when we speak from the soul, when we move with rhythm and reason, we create something that's timeless. So as we close today, I want to leave you with a little something. Keep writing, keep dreaming, keep living out loud. Pick up your own pen, be your own melody, be your own poem. And listen, before we go, I got a little something coming up next month. A celebration of life, legacy, and learning. Yep, you got that right. It's your girl's birthday in the month of May. And I'll be sharing some things that I've learned over these years. So stick around because the best is still ahead. Listen, this is certainly the Black Gold Texas Tea Show. I'm telling you, man, the idea of jazz and poetry is something that I was introduced to years ago. I had an uncle that had a little bitty record player that sat in the corner of his favorite artists' albums posted on the wall over this little bitty record player. Yep, that's what he did. My sisters had the 45s and the LPs or the albums. And I was introduced to all of it, and it is so close to my heart, even today. But I couldn't miss talking about it because I'm still a big lover of music, especially jazz, today. And I wanted to make sure that we honored it in a special way in the month of April. Because you know, the Black Gold Texas Tea Show is where culture sings, truth testifies, and the soul always shows up. Until next time, remember, we're more alike than we are different. Let the rest of your life be the best of your life. Keep speaking, keep swinging, and baby, you better keep shining. God bless.